And good morning, everybody. Welcome to GolfRap right here on TGD TV and TGD Radio. Of course, I'm George Honeycutt. Hugh Royer's missing again today. We're going to go out and search for that dude because either he's A, on a golf course, or B, he's out teaching somewhere. So obviously I'm missing on two different opportunities to delve into his wealth of knowledge about the game of golf. But boy, oh boy, did I tell you or did I tell you? Did I tell you or did I tell you? I predicted this on the Pro Golf Talk Live last week. I told you, watch out for Brooke Henderson. I told you. I warned you. She was the defending champion at the Cambia Porton Classic. I forewarned you. This girl is just a player. And she goes wire to pick up her second defending title at the Cambia Porton Classic. And, I mean, it wasn't even a match per se. She just went out, played her game, and she watched everybody around her fall apart while she kept her head. And, I mean, even on Saturday, she had a little hiccup in the last couple finishing holes. And the followers or trailers or those opponents that were looking to get close to her could only get up within 4 shots. And then on Sunday, she basically just put it into high gear, cruise control, and then she sat back with the seatbelt on, and she just went ahead and played her game. Congratulations to her. She picks up her second win of the season. Of course, she's the defending champion, wire to wire. This is her third in a very young age, young LPGA Tour career. This is her third LPGA victory, and she becomes number 2 in the world golf rankings, number 2 in the LPGA and rest of world women's golf ranking. So congratulations to Brooke Henderson, and hopefully you took the Godfather's advice and you bet the farm, the house, the cars, the kids, everybody on Brooke Henderson. Also this week, it was just my distinct pleasure, and I say that with a lot of happiness. My distinct pleasure. I sat in front of my TV early morning hours on Sunday morning and watched Tung Jai Jaidi. And I'm sitting here going, go Tung Jai. And I've got new neighbors, folks. I've got new neighbors, and they have now come to know that George sits out on the screen porch, especially on the weekends, and watches European Tour golf. And in order to get my knowledge so I can bring it to you on GolfRap. And they just, matter of fact, my next door neighbor, brand new, I just met him a week ago. He comes out yesterday, and he basically states, you're an early riser. Yep. Do you often shout the names of golfers while they're playing? And I said, well, it depends on how many cups of coffee I have. And obviously yesterday I went through 2 pots real quick. Tung Jai Jaidi picks up his 8th European Tour win. He wins the 100th Open de France, and it couldn't happen to a better guy, a veteran of both the European and PGA Tours. He is, without a doubt, the best player coming from Thailand. It's going to be a distinct pleasure to watch him represent Thailand in the Olympics. And for Tung Jai Jaidi, this was a victory well-deserved. He just simply, yesterday, Andy Sullivan was making a move. Birdies at 12, 14, 15. But then all of a sudden, he got within 3 shots of the lead, and then has a bogey on 17, and Tung Jai Jaidi makes birdie on 15 to move the lead back to 4. And so from that point on, it was a leisure walk down the last couple of holes for Tung Jai Jaidi. Simply stated, his game was in rare form. He went 39 holes bogey-free. He shoots 11 under par and finishes with 2 rounds at 68. And folks, on that golf course where the Open de France was played, that is the site of the 2018 Ryder Cup. Yes, you heard me right. So hopefully you were able to watch the Open de France and be able to enjoy the visual aspects of the golf course. Tongjai Jaidi pretty much made it a pitch and putt aspect. He's not the longest player in the world, folks, and this just goes back to talk about distance. But then when we talk about the Bridgestone at the WGC at Firestone, then we're going to talk about distance. But for Tongjai Jaidi, he was looking at the young guys that were up there at the second, third, fourth, fifth place of the leaderboards, blowing it 50 yards by him. But, of course, he was hitting his little hybrids, his little middle irons, and he was hitting them in there to roughly 20, 25 feet, and then making his one or two putts and then moving on. And so, again, like Brooke Henderson, he was keeping his head when all about him were losing theirs and blaming it on him. Okay, another Roger Kipling quote there. So, congratulations to Tongjai Jaidi. And I just hate that Hugh and Gene and several others aren't here with me to share in my, again, announcement of his name and repetitive announcement of his name. I mentioned the Firestone, the WGC Bridgestone at Firestone. What an event this was. Jason Day, basically, if you looked at the start of the day, he was at the top of the leaderboard, and you kind of expected him to almost not so much run away with it, but at least play solid enough to where if he shoots 2 or 3 under par, then it's going to take someone in the 66 realm to take the lead away from him. Well, what happens? Dustin Johnson, our U.S. Open champion of 2016, takes the lead away from him with a 6 under 66. And Dustin Johnson just simply did it by driving accuracy. Yes, I said accuracy, and distance. Interestingly, for Dustin, at 32 years of age, he was second in driving distance for the week at 341.1. That's not too bad. That's, for me, a driver, a 5-iron, and a lob wedge. He was basically 32 of 56 in fairways hit, and he made a note in his post-tournament interview after receiving the trophy again, a beautiful, beautiful trophy, I might add, and roughly $1.6 million with the winner's check. He makes a statement that my success of this year is basically contributed not to putting, not to short game, but he started hitting a cut off the tee box. He previously hit he would hit a draw, he would hit a draw, he would hit a draw. But when he missed it just a little bit, it would get him in big trouble. So during the off season, he worked on getting a cut into his portfolio. And now he says, I go to the cut when I know that if I miss it a little bit, I'm still in the fairway. It may only go 310, but when I catch it, it can still get out there to the distance that I saw when I was hitting a draw. We saw it at the U.S. Open. We've now seen it at the Bridgestone Invitational, of course, the WGC Firestone. Now, are we going to see it in 2 weeks at Royal Troon for the Open Championship? I would have to say right now, Dustin Johnson, who with this win moves into number two in the world golf rankings. Number 2. I said that, folks, in the world golf rankings. He is now number 1 in the FedEx Cup standings. Huge move by DJ. We have picked on him here at the Golf Director. We've done it for years. He's a Myrtle Beach boy. But he's got me in his camp now. And thankfully, I think one thing that helped out was maybe Paulina leaving on Friday and leaving the kid with him for 2 days. And he spent time bonding with his son. And, of course, the nanny was there. And he goes out and just plays his game, shoots 66, and wins this tournament. Jason Day had a meltdown, an absolute meltdown. He made a good birdie on 12, but 16 was about as poor, I would say poorly played of a golf hole that you would expect to see a professional golfer have. He blew it right. He tried to make an approach. He ends up going further right. Then he decides that he can cut one around a lake and get to the green. He ends up in the water. And so a triple bogey ends up on 16. And, of course, there's no catching up on that. Dustin Johnson is, of course, making birdie on the same hole. And so that was the difference in this whole tournament. So congratulations to DJ. This speaks well for him in follow-up to the U.S. Open win. That, you know, you always hear the people, well, DJ's finally won his major, but is he one and done? And no. Folks, he's showing. He's here to stay. This little flight pattern that he's got on his golf ball now off the tee box is obviously working for him. It obviously relaxes him. It obviously allows him to take a certain part of the course out of play. And he's got his shaft and the driver head and the loft on that in tune with his swing to the point where at Royal Troon he could take this thing with as firm as expected the fairways to be. He could take this thing to its knees. If he has a decent putting week, without a doubt, he could take it to his knees. So we need to keep an eye on that. Busy week in the game of golf, and that included another PGA Tour event called the Barracuda, this being held at Montrose Golf and Country Club in Reno, Nevada. Beautiful golf course, and who but everybody that was in the chase of this thing. And interestingly, we see the name Gary Woodland also up at the top of the leaderboard again, and Gary is one of those that has been on the tour for quite some time now, and the raw talent that is there in that young man, and he's not really young anymore, toward the end of his 20s, early 30s, he has not been able to close. Yesterday, again, perfect example. He plays 18. They had moved the tees up. It was only playing 547 yards. Woodland, each day of the tournament, teed off with an iron. He had a 7-iron into the green. He hits it into the bunker. Relatively easy bunker shot. He blows it out. It rolls past the pin 10 feet. He misses that putt by 4 feet. And then he missed the next putt to end up making a bogey on the easiest hole on the golf course, his 72nd hole in the championship. And who behind him? The leader by one. This is a modified Stapleford point system that they use. So if you saw TV and you saw Greg Chalmers at plus 37 or plus 38 or his ending score at plus 42, and you're going, what the heck? How are they winning? You know, and they're shooting 100 every day. No, that's not the case, folks. Modified Stapleford for this particular event. So it's a secondary event for those that can't get into the WGC at Firestone. The PGA Tour also has a Me Too event, and they do this several times a year. But more importantly, at the Barracuda was a last opportunity to qualify and get into the field at the Open Championship at Royal Troon. Greg Chalmers, at the age of 42, picks up his first PGA Tour win. He picks up, and you'll notice the disparity, a FedEx Cup PGA Tour site win is 500 FedEx Cup points. For the Barracuda is 300. A FedEx Cup Tour win like the WGC, the Bridgestone Invitational, 1.6 million. Chalmers picks up roughly 600,000. So a big disparity there in money and points. However, for Chalmers, it means he gets in the Open. He gets to the Masters. He plays in the PGA Championship. He qualifies for the Tournament of Champions, the Hyundai, of course, at Kapalua. And he's automatically into the Players' Championship at TPC Sawgrass. So congratulations to Greg Chalmers. This is life-changing for him, folks. He is a veteran. He is a Web.com Tour player that got an exemption into Reno at 42 years of age. His family wasn't even there because they didn't expect him to basically win. Sorry. That's just the way it was. But Chalmers picks up this win. He was emotional, folks. He broke down during the post-tournament interview. Bless his heart. He played well, and he makes eagle on the last hole just to kind of put it to bed, if you know what I mean. He bogeyed 16, and the lead had dropped to, quote-unquote, even between he and Gary Woodland. But then Woodland goes and bogeys 18 with his little three-putt from 10 feet. And then all Chalmers had to do was hit the fairway. He did that very successfully with the driver. And then he hit a 7-iron that he was laying up, folks. He was laying up. He was expecting to be about 10 yards short of the green. It hits on the left-hand side of the front apron of the green surface. It bounces forward, rolls up onto the green, and he has a 12-footer uphill for eagle. And he just calmly drains it. So congratulations to Greg Chalmers for his first PGA Tour victory, his 2-year exemption now for the PGA Tour, and for qualifying the Open Championship, the Masters, and so on and so on and so on. So it was an exciting weekend, Jeff. I was just all over the place with golf, and here we are moving in houses and doing all kind of other things. We moved the Performance Center, so it's just been a busy last couple of weeks. I'm ready for a nap. I am ready for a nap. I want to thank you for joining us here on GolfRap. It's been a lot of fun recapping these multiple events for you. If there's any that I missed, I'm sorry. However, there was just so much content and so much personality with each one of the events that we talked about that I felt like I had to bring it to you. I'm George Honeycutt, and thanks so much from TGD TV and TGD Radio for joining us here on GolfRap. Don't go anywhere. There's a lot more golf news and information coming up next.